Hey, g'day guys, it's Adam from VideoShowMeHow, and in this video we're going to run through how to use a Raptor liner. Let's get started. Now, the super quick overview of this product, if you haven't heard too much about it, it's basically a bed liner, and the best thing about this stuff in comparison to, say, a product like Linex or something like that, is it's DIY. You can totally do it yourself, and it's tons cheaper. So this stuff is effectively a two-part urethane protective coating, and the best thing with this stuff is once it's on, it's on. It sets super hard, like it says here, impact, scratch, UV resistant. It's perfect for protecting against corrosion and salt if you're in a four drive or a camper trailer or something like that. And you can spray this stuff to virtually anything. It doesn't just have to be metal. It can be fiberglass here with guards. It can be plastics. Apparently, like it's saying here, you can even do wood and concrete, etc. So it's pretty awesome stuff. Now, to apply this stuff, there is a nice and simple system that they use, which is just your fill, shake and shoot. What they're talking about with the fill is, because it's a two-part urethane, you do have some hardener, which you're adding to one of the bottles. That then mixes together when you shake the thing all about, and then you're pretty well ready to go. And there's two options for applying. One is using a Schultz gun, which is one like this, comes with some of the kits. You can use regular spray paint type kits as well, but this one gets you a really nice texture. The other version is using their roller kit, and it, once again, doesn't have to be the Raptor version, but this will get you a pretty nice coating, similar to what you'd get spraying on, but don't need an air compressor and everything else that goes with it. You can just roll it on. Now, today I'm going to use the fill, shake and shoot version using an air compressor. However, I also have the roller kit here, so I also will talk through, if you didn't have an air compressor or the Schultz gun, or maybe you just didn't want to spray it for the noise and what have you, and you want to roll it on, I'll talk through how you can do that as well. Now, we're going to be using the Raptor on the Jeep JK, and I've actually already used this product on a bunch of the Jeep already, including the front bar, the flares front and rear with a little bit of a high pressure, so it's a slightly different coating, and then also the rear bar of the Jeep. And what I want to be Raptoring this time around on the Jeep is the front grille, which currently just has the standard sort of plastic black on there, so we want to Raptor the heck out of that. Also have this new guy. It doesn't really look new, but I've just been out driving, so it looks a little less new, but it is brand new. It's from the legends over at JK Warehouse that you can check out there. This is one of their high flow grills. I think it looks super leery, but then also super cool on the VideoShowMeHow Jeep, which is pretty rad. So we're going to be Raptoring this guy as well. And then also, just to tidy up the front, the top section here on the cowl. So we'll have Raptor black all the way down, just to sort of tidy up that front section. Now, as far as what you're going to need, it really is pretty basic. You're just going to be needing the kit. The Raptor kits come with everything you need, including the hardener and the liner itself. Then you're just going to need to decide whether you're going to be rolling your Raptor on or using the Schultz gun or an air compressor type spray. Of course, you'll need an air compressor as well. And you're going to need one that can pump out at least sort of the 80 to 100 PSI as you're spraying it on. Other than that, you're going to be needing some sort of preparation stuff, and preparation for this is absolutely key. So you're going to be needing some 180 grit sandpaper, some wet and dry, and if you've got one of these little doodads or something like that, it's going to make life a whole lot easier. Some sort of electric sander, random orbital is what you're after, but basically you're going to be wanting to sand everything back to 180 grit. What that does is really gives the coating something to sort of grip onto. The better you do at the prep, the better this coating is going to last. If you sort of do a crappy job with the prep, because I know you're going to be keen as mustard just to spray this stuff on there and really get stuck in. I know, I feel it, I'm exactly the same, but trust me, you want to really invest the time in making sure your surfaces that you're going to be spraying is sanded down really well with at least 180 grit. Once that's all done, you're pretty well good to go. Some wax and grease remover is also helpful, and some rags and that sort of standard stuff that you're going to have lying around. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. Now step one is getting the panels that are going to be Raptor lined ready for sanding. Now in this case, probably got a little bit of an extra step in here. You may not need to do that. The Jeep needs a bit of a wash, just been out bursting some bog holes and that sort of stuff, so need to give this a good clean so it's ready for sanding. Right, so nice and clean. We've gone through and given the car a good wash so the Jeep is ready to roll. So there's probably two different ways to go here. Now, like I was saying, I only really want to be Raptoring the top cowl section of the Jeep, obviously our nice new hood, and also the grille section in the bottom here as well. So I'm going to be removing those three panels, laying them out on the floor here. We've laid out a big ground sheet ready to go. And done, we are ready to go. We've got all the bits off that we need and all nice and laid out. So from here, it's a matter of prepping these panels. The main thing you're going to want to make sure is that the panels themselves have none of this stuff, none of this business going on. They need to be super rough and scuffed up. And if you like your shiny paint, you need to get to horrified level, because that's sort of how rough we need it. And one last top tip before we get stuck into sanding is just to be aware that when you're sanding this stuff, it is going to go everywhere. So just be aware of what's around, you know, things like your phones. If you've got laptops or anything like that that's sitting out in the area that you're going to be sanding, best to sort of chuck that stuff away, because you're going to get dust everywhere. All right, so once you've scuffed everything up to the point where you're minor freaking out thinking, oh my God, what have I done? Then you're about cooked, you're about good. So just a matter of making sure that you've got everything sanded down, get into all the little nooks and crannies. So for example, in here, I had to do all this sort of part in here all by hand. These are all detailed down in there. These were an absolute pain because the orbital couldn't get into those. So all of that's by hand, and just making sure that you have completely scuffed up all of the things. From here, the next step is to clean all these panels again. So if you've got access, use a blower to start with, and then we're going to need to get some of our wax and grease remover and give everything an absolute clean so that it's spotless, ready for paint. And here we are, panels all ready to go, wax and grease removed, all looking completely scuffed and wrecked, but they are nice and good. Now, worth considering how you're going to lay out your parts. So I've just got some pavers and bricks here just to get it up off the ground, because of course you're going to be spraying the Raptor straight on top here, right? So either that or even the rolling. But you want to be able to get in under the edges here, all around. So you want it off the ground if possible. If you've got some stands or something like that, even better, but at least some sort of bricks to get it up off the ground. Next step is to mix up our Raptor and start spraying. So mixing our Raptor so we can get spraying. Like I said, there's a couple of different ways of doing this, and option B is using one of the rollers. Now, it doesn't have to be one of the Raptor rollers, but basically as long as you're getting a roller that's quite open with the foam pad, that's going to give you that texture. We're going to be using the Schultz gun. Now, these come with the kit. You can buy them separately as well. They're really pretty well just designed to, one, give you a fair size nozzle for the spray, so you can get that really cool looking ripple texture. But the other thing that's cool about these is that they're designed to fit the bottles. So that thread there is literally that thread there. So that's hence the whole fill, shake and shoot methodology. You need one of these guys to do that. So your pressure, if you are going to be spraying, needs to be somewhere between 40 to 60 psi, or between 275 and 4.1 bar. So anywhere in the middle there. I normally whack it straight in the middle and do about 50 psi. That with the Schultz gun seems to get a really nice ripple coating. If you want to get less of a ripple coating and a much finer texture on your panels, just bump your pressure up a little bit. I've done it before on the flares where that was about 100 psi, and it just seemed to get a much more of a finer texture on the panels. But In this case, we're going full texture mode, so we'll be shooting it at about 50 psi. So as far as filling the thing up, it's pretty straightforward. You can't really muck it up because everything's designed to be sort of pre-measured and added. If you're going black or white, in this case we're good because we're going just straight black. It's just a matter of getting your hardener and adding the whole bottle. So just filling that up into there, shake like crazy for at least 2 minutes. If you're adding some color, same sort of deal, add the hardener. There's going to be a gap at the top, and that's what you want to put your tint in. So it's got to be a 2K type tint. Once you've added that, it should come up sort of towards the top. Lid on, shake like crazy again for at least a few minutes. So first coat all done, and to give you an idea of the actual coverage of this stuff, this is a 1 litre bottle, the ones that they sort of come with, and one of these did all of that. It just started running out towards the end there as I got to the end of the grill. If anything, that just gives you a really good idea of the coverage that you can expect from one of these standard size Raptor bottles. So here's how we're looking after the first coat. And I am going to be doing a second coat because I really just want to make sure that we get maximum coverage, being that we've got the sort of the grille and the bonnet. If anything's going to be sort of hitting the front of the Jeep, it's going to be these two guys here. So we're going to let this flash off for about 40 odd minutes, probably up to an hour actually, just to make sure we're looking okay. Once it starts getting a little bit tacky, you're good to put on the second coat. And you do that just the same way as the first. All right, so second coat all done. Coverage is looking really good. As you can see here, you just want to take your time when you're doing this. Make sure that you're checking your pressure and it's still at about that 4 bar mark. From here, it's just really getting that layer down so that it gets nice and smooth like that. So from here, make sure nothing gets wet. That's really important. It's actually really important for the first 72 hours. But beyond that, it's just a matter of letting this harden now, and we will come back in the morning so that we can bolt it all back up to the Jeep ready to go. All right, we're back. It's the next day. It's about 24 hours later and we are looking awesome. All nice and dry, and this is sort of the texture as you can see here. So it does give you that real sort of rippled effect on it, and you can see we've got some pretty good coverage here. It's all looking pretty uniform. I'll just show you each of the parts there, so that gives you a good idea of the coating there as well. We've got our hinges there, and then here's what it looks like on more the plastics covering here as well. Same sort of deal, same sort of ripple coating there. So overall, really happy with how that has come out. Now, drying time on this is actually touch dry in less than an hour, like we were talking about yesterday, or about 2 or so minutes ago for you. Thorough dry, though, is about 5 to 7 days. So it's really important that when you've raptored your panels, that you're really not subjecting it to any sort of beating or anything like that. In the case of a truck bed, you really want to give it that full week for it to really harden before you actually go putting anything on it. If it's body panels, they recommend that it doesn't get wet at all for the first 72 hours. So if it's on your truck or on a car or anything like that, if it's looking like rain or anything like that, they reckon 72 hours is what you need there of full dry. And then you're pretty well good to go. Now, whenever I've sprayed anything with the Raptor, I try and give it a full sort of 24 hours, like a full overnight, lunchtime to lunchtime type scenario, before I go reassembling anything. So from here, next step really is just to wrap this up. We need to put the lights and indicators back in the front grille. In the hood here, which has come up an absolute treat, they do have these components that slot in the sides here like that. I'm not sure about that color. I'm thinking about actually cutting that back, giving it a good sand and painting that black, whether it's Raptor coat or not, we'll see, but I'll do something with that. And the only other things is obviously doing those brackets for the hood back in the Jeep in the first instance, so we can start putting everything back together. Well, there we go, all back together. It's come up really nice and it's got some really great texture to it, which I think looks pretty awesome. The final steps really here are the dry time, and like we said a little bit earlier, the main thing is making sure that this doesn't get wet at all for the first 72 hours. It is dry and hard at the moment, but full cure happens over the next 5 to 7 days. So worth taking it easy for that period. After that 5 to 7 days though, it gets very, very hard and it's really, really difficult to sort of chip or crack or anything like that, which is one of the reasons why this coating is so awesome. As usual, I hope you found that video helpful and that your project has come out exactly how you wanted. Let me know in the comments below what kind of project that you're using the Raptor liner for. This stuff's so versatile. I know I've used it on all sorts of different surfaces, so I'm pretty keen just to know what sort of project you're going to be using it for yourself. Feel free to share the video with anyone that might be looking to do a similar project. If you're keen to check out the new videos that I upload for you guys, hit the subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell. That gives you a little notification as soon as a new video comes out. So as always guys, I hope that you have an amazing day and I will see you in the next video. Cheers guys.